Yeah, we do say greetings, blessed love. We are thankful for the life given, the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie the first. And we're thankful to be in your presence even at this hour. Honorable Priest Isaac is here within the Tiger's Nest. We are celebrating the 128th solar return as far as the cycle of the Annam, what you may call a birthday, the earth strong of our highness. Give thanks for his presence, the power and the might of the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, Emperor Haile Selassie the first. So we definitely have a serious presentation that we want to bring forward to you tonight. And I'm really hoping that you have the time to sit and sup with us as we bring you the real Emperor Haile Selassie the first. Because remember, Haile Selassie is an individual that dwells in the mind frame of many and the psychology of many, meaning that many have their own outlook on him, beliefs and many different things. But we are going to look at or take a look at the reality of who he is. And I don't mean that we are negating his divinity, but we are looking at the man on all different aspects. So if you really, truly from your heart want to know Haile Selassie, the real Haile Selassie, well, this is a program that you need this evening. So you just got to tiger with your brother for a moment. You just got to bear with me for a while as we go into a deep realms. I'm just going to prepare myself for you, and we will be having a wonderful presentation this evening right here in the Tiger's Nest. So give thanks again for your presence. Just hold the vibes, hold the meditation. If you have to get all your accessories to join me in the heavens, please get yourself together. But this is going to be a serious one. The real Emperor Haile Selassie. Give thanks again for your presence. And we will be beginning the lecture part of this presentation in a moment. Vibration, isn't it? As I said, at this moment we are celebrating the 128th anniversary, yes, of the 220th monarch within the lineage of King Solomon and Great David, according to the legend of the Ethiopians. Do you know that some people actually attempt to refute that? Some people say that that is not true. What are you speaking of? Some people say that Haile Selassie is not the 225th emperor of the lineage of King Solomon and King David. Not that they're saying that he's not of the lineage of King Solomon and David, but these academics are saying that there's no lineage of King Solomon and King David, so whatever that is all about. However, the emperor gets caught up in that. Enough respect to him, but that part of the story, we're not with that. Fair enough. You see, this is what we are dealing with tonight. First of all, we're in celebration mood. As I said, we are celebrating the Earth Strong, or the birthday, as you would call it, the Earth Day of Haile Selassie I, 23rd day of July, 1892, celebrating from the setting of the sun on what would be the 22nd for the evening coming before the morning, 1892. So we are now into the 128th year of the mighty Emperor Haile Selassie I. So what we're going to be doing tonight, we're actually not going to be dwelling too heavy on the lineage of Solomon and David, really. It may come up somewhere in the presentation as a reference or something to highlight, but that's not what the program really is about. You know, we are looking at the real man. I mean, the aspects of the emperor that you just cannot deny. See, as I said, lineage is a Solomon, David. I mean, on both sides, you may have some good points. And the debate will go on and on. But reality is reality. So, for example, I said he was born the 23rd day of July, 1892. That is reality, isn't it? I don't think there's any problem there. There are people who their births, there are question marks around if that's exactly the day. I think even Menelik II, yes, Menelik II, his birthday, the day itself, uh, it's between the 17th of August and the 19th of August. I think in the formative years, I think there's Harold G. Marcus, I think the author's name is. Yeah, Harold G. Marcus, yes. He mentions Menelik as the 19th of August. But then now they have other Ethiopian authors that speak of Menelik as the 17th of August as his Earth Day, which is an interesting day and month, which is the same as Marcus Messiah Garvey. You know, so I mean, I guess the debate is on with that too. But I've never heard any strong debate to go against, pardon me, the birthday of Haile Selassie I, the Earth Strong, being the 23rd day of July, 1892. So I'm just saying the reality, you know. You know, we don't have to get too far and get too spooky-fied, but let me just be clear again. There's reality in the divinity too. So we're going to be looking at what some may consider the reality, just, you know, what's before your face that you cannot deny. And then maybe even what you cannot see. That's not really before your face, and yet you still cannot deny. So, as Rastafari, when we speak of the emperor, we have the emperor in the highest of regards. And that is really what it means to be a Rastafari. A Rastafari is an individual who has accepted the divinity of Emperor Haile Selassie I. But even if an individual has not accepted the divinity of the son of Ras Mokonen, that does not mean they cannot see the reality of him. What I want to highlight, and this is just a bit of history for those who may not know, and even those who may know, that the emperor was born in a mystic time, as we mentioned, the Emperor Menelik II as well. Emperor Haile Selassie was born in a mystic time, as we are mentioning Emperor Menelik II as well. And as a liege Tafari, as the young youth, liege Tafari, that's Haile Selassie now. That's the name he carried, Tafari. And liege is a title that is given to a young one, a young youth as a royal noble.
In fact, do you know that liege means child in Amharic?
Liege means child in Amharic. So liege Tafari, the royal one. Give thanks to the honorable princess for such words. Was born within the time of the Battle of Adwa, the famous Battle of Adwa that you hear of. He was approximately 4 going into 5. When I say born in the time, remember that this was stirring up for years. Remember that we defeated them at Dogale in 5 minutes. So really the emperor was, in a time as a youth where you were looking for war maybe at any time. Of course, the treaty at Ucciale, where the Crispy and the Italians tried to go around Menelik within a little line in the treaty. The Italian version and the Ethiopian version, the Italian version had a little different clause added in that brought down Ethiopia's authority in the treaty that they were putting together. That's Italy and Ethiopia, the Treaty of Ucciale. You can research it. We've done programs on that as well. So all of that brought forward the War of Adwa, the Battle of Adwa, and other reasons, that underlie is underneath the scope of history as well. Because the emperor, as I said, was the young youth. And when you go into scripture, you understand that when the Christ child is born, this ain't no joke. The enemy come looking for the Christ child, the very said living ark of the covenant. So yes, the Battle of Adwa was on, and of course Menelik and Ras-Mokene, which is the father of Haile Selassie the first. It defeated the Italians and sent them home. And just as the emperor himself, Haile Selassie, was in 1941, we speak not too much of this, but Menelik II was also very merciful to those prisoners of war from the side of the Italians. We comprehend history that Haile Selassie I, again, very significantly at the age of 12, going into 13 years of age, when he became the Deshma, the ancient title that means the keeper of the gate, or some translated the keeper of the door, and holding titles of governmental positions as governor of Shoa and what else? Gore and Sidemo. Yes, at a very, very, very young age, from the age of 12, 13, governor of these different provinces in Ethiopia, around the same time that his father, the elder Ras-Mokene, passed on, the ancestor, I should say. So passing into manhood at a very interesting time, that age of 12 and 13. We did an interview with the good brother Alimbe, the noble Alimbe, and he was speaking of a transition that he went through around that time, 12, and 13. And we highlighted that to him. That's science, because it is a science, it's reality. That's why you see that science in the biblical scripture. It is a science, it's not religion, because you see the same science in almost all the ancient cultures. I'm sure the Krishna tradition and so have a similar science, where you see the God man becoming a man at the age of 12. The same thing is seen with the Heru at the age of 12, and a lot of the Eastern deities, the Eastern figures, characters, really, at that time. And it aligns itself with a lot of the 12s, the 12 pillars and your 12 cycles and the constellation of 12s, even though you have a 13, there's 12 specific sun spaces within the zodiac belt. That is astronomy. So that science is very high. So coming into a self of self, I'm sure some of you could relate to yourself. Just think about where you were at the age of 12 and 13, and you could maybe pick up some sort of transition that was taking place. You are connected to the cosmos. That's just reality. So really at the age of 12, this is the transition that the emperor went through. And as I said, born in 1892, so we're 1906, thereabout, coming up the line. And remember that Menelik II now, being also, he was the one that established that whole council of the Lion of Judah. That's Menelik II. And basically, the Emperor Haile Selassie is the only emperor that became emperor as the Lion of Judah, and there's a very high science behind it. That's just facts. Again, these are little simple facts that you could put down. So really, when Emperor Menelik passed, 1913 it was, when Emperor Menelik passed in 1913, it was Empress Zaditu, which is the daughter of Menelik II, that came and took such a position as the empress. So that is very mystic now, that an empress now is ruling over Ethiopia. And at that very same time, when she became empress, it was the same governor, Tafari, liege, no, not liege, but really at the time, as I said, the Deshma Tafari, that took the title of Ras. So this now is 1916, the 27th day of September, very holy day, Maskal, you know, and as Rastafari should hold these days sacred, if not for the commemoration of the true cross of Christ, all right, but at least for the emperor accepting such a title that we hail so high as Rastafari on the 27th day of September 1916, and even as a side celebration in all power and glory, you know what I mean, in all, you know, majesty and joy, you must celebrate this in the heavens. It was a double vibes, just like when you get crowned, where a woman was coronated. So when His Majesty got that Ras title that we venerate so much, at the same time, his relative, his family, you know, the daughter of Menelik II became empress. Very significant. You know, the Kandake mother from Sheba to Zaditu, Empress Zaditu there, 1916, Rastafari. Please pardon me for that. I had a little complication there. Please forgive me for that. So yes, of course, in 1930, Negus Tafari became Emperor Haile Selassie I. He became Negus on the 28th, or the 7th, pardon me, of October 1928, and became Emperor on the 2nd of November 1930. The Italian invasion of 1935, really, from October, and of course the Emperor leaving Ethiopia on the 5th of May 1936, definitely etched in the memory of history for sure. The Emperor addressed the League of Nations on the 30th day of June 1936 as it relates to what was taking place in Ethiopia as Italy invaded Ethiopia, as both countries were members of the same League of Nations organization, the League of Nations body. Because, you know, keep in mind, we said it not, but we'll say it now, that in 1923-24, the emperor campaigned to put Ethiopia in the body known as the League of Nations, and succeeded. This meant, you know, you had a free, independent African country. All of this is very important. You had a free, independent African country in the body, the body of nations that was made up of primarily European countries. This is very, very, very key, because keep in mind, you know, we like to say that Ethiopia is the only African country that was not colonialized. Ethiopia was the only country in general that was not colonialized. In the world, I talking about. When Europe went on its colonialization chip, is every place it conquered. You know? Who owned Antarctica? Who owned the British? Who? I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know who owned Antarctica, but I honestly will have to research it. But I know everywhere was conquered. Everywhere was colonialized. China is a former colony of Britain, you know, and Japan and Australia, and this is stolen property and all these different things. The United States of America, Canada, the West in general. It's just Europe because these are the colonializers. So the point is, everywhere on the planet went under the shadow of the European invasion, everywhere. Down to the moon, according to what they say, they go. But Ethiopia was never colonialized. That's written in your books. So at that time, the emperor took such a country and put it amongst the body known as the League of Nations. All of what I'm saying is important, you know. We hardly start yet. I hope you have time tonight. We hardly begin yet. And he put this body, or put the Ethiopian country amongst the wolves in the League of Nations, the European states, and the League of Nations being this organization, this body that stood for justice and equality and all of this across the globe. No African country in it, but we're dealing with justice and equality. But the shrewd God, the master of ceremonies himself, got his free independent empire, not just no kingdom, an empire. He wasn't just a king. Well, at the time he was the regent prince, but no, not the regent prince. When he got Ethiopia into the League of Nations, he was the regent prince, pardon me. But when he spoke to the League of Nations that he got Ethiopia into, he was the king of kings. He was Negus and Negas. He was the emperor. History talking, eh? Not my feelings and how what I believe. This is just flat history, nothing to go around. There's nothing to refute, no debate. I don't need no debate for nothing I said. I'll be crazy to go in it. What debate about what? What are you talking about? This is just the facts, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So when he addressed the League of Nations, basically he addressed them on their protocols. And of course, these are all things we've covered before, you know, in depth, depending on the occasion and depending on the different aspects of all what I'm talking about. But we just want to run through all of this before we go into what we really have to present tonight. Yeah. So I'm just saying that when he addressed them as it relates to their protocols, what they said that they had, you know, what they stood for, their standing principles. Basically, we were speaking of collective security, because that is really one of the main mottos of the League of Nations at the time, collective security. And this was highlighted in Article 16, which the emperor highlights also in his autobiography, His Life and Progress. So as he addressed Article 16, and he showed them that, of course, the spark that was lit in Ethiopia shall burn throughout Europe. And we also could see that within a very short time, World War II, which is really a European war, really, you know, they just drag other people all over the world into the European war. But World War II engulfed, well, Europe, really, you know, and even Haile Selassie the First, although history would try not to give that incident between Mussolini and Haile Selassie and the war, the Italian-Ethiopian war, as really not no precursor. That was the beginning of the World War II. Really, that's really what it was. But they would like to deny that. Okay, so deny it. Interestingly, Ethiopia was already liberated even, before World War II came to an end. So the emperor was already out. He that seated in Zion shall laugh. I mean, already out of the whole confusion and putting Ethiopia back in order, just history itself. So let us just, I will leave that at that. And what we'll be doing for the moment, you see, I want to look at the emperor on a realistic level. Now look at this. This is not even a part of the script, but look at how this lion, you see like how this brother here is bowing to the emperor and the empress. In the same way the lion here is bowing to the emperor and the empress. And I'm sure you could find many of pictures where you see that activity taking place, where the lions are bowing to Haile Selassie the first. In fact, let us see what we can establish here so you could see that for yourself. And that's just a reality. That is just a reality. I just want to highlight this for you. And because you see, when you look into history now, this is another thing. When you look into history, you do not see many individuals that you find where lions, they're dealing directly with lions to the point where the lions are bowing down to them. Okay, for example, let me just show you this one here. Let me open this. Let me share my screen with you so you could see this here. All right, look at this. See the lion here bowing, the lion literally bowing to the emperor. Same lion here, very same lion here, very same lion here. These are no zoo lions, eh? And just same bowing activity. You see it here. The lion naturally bowing. This is just a natural thing. There are videos with this as well. This is nothing we're making up, where the lion just naturally bows to the emperor. But don't get me wrong, in Ethiopia, we hang the lions. It's not like it's just unique to the emperor alone. Look at these ones here, riding the lions on the back of the lion. So it is natural for us to do that. But I'm saying in the case of Haile Selassie, there is this natural outlook where you see these lions just bowing to the emperor in all ways and all forms, Give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Okay, so as it relates to Haile Selassie now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know I speak in behalf of all of my fellow Americans in welcoming His Imperial Majesty back to the United States. Since His Majesty visited the United States nearly a decade ago, we have seen one of the most extraordinary revolutions in history, and that has been the appearance on the world scene of 29 independent countries in the short space of less than 10 years, including over 150 million people. The conference recently held in His Majesty's capital served, I think, to bring together in a great cooperative movement the people of most of these countries. And the success of that conference was due in no small part to the leadership of our distinguished guest. His efforts to move his country forward and provide a better life for its people, and his efforts throughout the world, which stretch back over 30 or 40 years. For all of this, Your Majesty, we take the greatest pride in welcoming you here. You do us honor, and I can assure you that there is no guest that you will receive in this country that will give a greater sense of lively pride and satisfaction to the American people than your presence here today. Your Majesty, you're most welcome.
Now, this is in 1963. This is the visit to the United States in October by Emperor Haile Selassie I. What you just heard a moment there was not the full speech. So I'm going to go to another video which is not as clear, but it has the full introduction speech, and I would like to take it from the full introduction speech.
With these words. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I speak in behalf of all of my fellow Americans in welcoming His Imperial Majesty back to the United States. In welcoming His Majesty, we honor not only a distinguished leader of his country and a distinguished world figure, but we also welcome a man whose place in history is already assured.
Now, as I said, the recording is not the best on this one, but you heard the other one where you got excerpts of it, but it's definitely of better quality. We honor not just a man or a leader of a country, but a man whose place in history has already been preserved, reserved. Let me get his exact words. It's not something I like memorize like in school or something, but I know what's going on.
A distinguished leader of his country and a distinguished world figure. But we also welcome a man whose place in history is already assured.
Already assured.
His memorable and distinctive appearance before the League of Nations in the mid-30s, which so stirred the conscience of the world, that appearance was supported prior to that by action and has been supported in its high hopes by the consistent support which His Imperial Majesty has given to those efforts since the end of the Second War to associate three nations together in common enterprises. Support for the effort in Korea is support of the most recent effort in the Congo.
Now let us explain this now. Come, let's not go too far. This is very important. Don't fall asleep now, eh? This ain't fall asleep time. This is time to wake up. We're celebrating the Emperor Earth Day. Let us understand clearly what we're celebrating. So now, John F. Kennedy, and to some, it's a credible source, John F. Kennedy. To me, it's neither here nor there. But the point is, what he's saying is very true.
Supported in its high hopes.
He's speaking of from the 1930s and from the time Haile Selassie addressed the League of Nations and to the end of World War II. The support, he's speaking on a United Nations aspect, the support that comes from the emperor to bring nations together in free enterprise is something that cannot be, is second to none really. And then he goes on to highlight that. Listen to this. Let's listen.
Consistent support which His Imperial Majesty has given to those efforts since the end of the Second War to associate three nations together in common enterprises.
To associate three nations together in common enterprises. He's going to start to speak about his efforts in Korea, his efforts in the Congo, his efforts in Biafra. Now, what is this, or what are these efforts all about? They don't teach you this in school, but these are all conflicts that Haile Selassie actually went and mediated and stopped the conflict, the war, the fighting. In fact, on this documentary here, The World Tour, Haile Selassie stopped a war that was taking place between Morocco and Algeria. And we're going to highlight that too. And you're going to listen to what the narrator and what the leaders of the world have to say as it relates to this man, Haile Selassie I. This is not no religious discussion, eh? This is just the reality. So what he is highlighting is just the truth. What he has done in Korea, Korea. How come they don't tell you this? The Congo, Biafra, where's Biafra again? Nigeria. Get that. Meditate. Okay, let's listen. Let's listen.
Support to the effort in Korea, the support of the most recent effort in the Congo, the strong support he has given to the United Nations, and perhaps most celebrated of all, his leadership in building a community of free independent states in Africa.
And he said, and perhaps the most celebrated of all is of him building a free community state in Africa. He building a community state in Africa. Listen, some of you are going to be upset, but I mean, sometimes we just gotta, man, listen, either come hard or you don't come at all. I thought it was Kwame Nkrumah that built that free independent state in Africa. I'm very serious. I'm going to tell you why. Because even some of us as conscious ones, we're too conscious. But yes, even us, we fall for the trap and pretend as if we don't know about Haile Selassie first. Of course, we love Kwame Nkrumah to the fullest. Because we love Kwame Nkrumah. Oh, I don't know about you. We love Kwame Nkrumah. As my brethren PLO Lumumba would say, Kwame Nkrumah. Yeah, we love him. You know what I mean? But listen, let's not play around with it. Who is the father of Africa? Come on, man. Who is the father of Africa? The so-called leader of the free world is speaking it. Just like in the Bible when the demons came before Christ and they fell down and said, oh my Lord, we know who you are. We know who you are. It's your people that don't know who you are. Throw our spirit into the hearts.
United Nations, and perhaps most celebrated of all, his leadership in building a community of free independent states in Africa.
A community he has built. He has built. Does that exist today? He has built a community of free independent states in Africa. Somebody should have told Kennedy, no, Mr. President, you have it wrong. He was very instrumental, but Kwame Nkrumah was the one that did it. And I know some of my people upset, you know, like, oh man, you have to push that point. Kwame Nkrumah is a good man. I tell you, if you want to compare the love, I'm sure we passed the sky as it relates to how much we love Kwame Nkrumah. But because we know the demon has set it up in such a way for us to forget Haile Selassie and totally erase Marcus Garvey, that's another thing. Marcus Garvey, his turn coming right now. After this, his turn coming. Marcus Garvey, because it is exactly 100 years. The 13th of August, the beginning of the Olmec calendar in 13 pardon me, BCE. 3114 BCE as the cycle begins. 13th day of August, that's the same day that Marcus Messiah Garvey in 1920 in the 36th section of the article of the Declaration of the Negro Race, where he established the red, black, and green. It's going to be 100 years in a few days that we have hoisted the red, black, and green, and we want to pretend that we don't know about Garvey. I just mentioned the Olmec and the time and the calendar. I wonder if you get all of that. But when we address that, we will go more into depth and iron that out properly. We're dealing with the emperor now. So we would like to pretend, even amongst us in the conscious community, we would like to pretend as if we don't know nothing about the emperor of Ethiopia. Don't play around. Do not play around when he is the man, the most important figure in our modern African history. Cool out. Hear what this scene here talking about, this fella here.
Since His Majesty visited
Hold on. Say it again for me.
his support of the most recent effort in the Congo,
Yes.
strong support he has given to the United Nations,
Come down.
and perhaps most celebrated of all, his leadership in building a community of free and independent states in Africa. Since His Majesty visited the United States nearly a decade ago, we have seen one of the most extraordinary revolutions in history. And that has been the appearance on the world scene of 29 independent countries.
No, hold on. We have seen the most extraordinary revolution in history. People say them is revolutionists. Nobody's a bigger revolutionist than Haile Selassie. I don't care what you're talking about. No disrespect to nobody, no. You don't know. But all the revolutionists, because they like to put people above the king, like even though we don't know about him. And so, no, this is the revolutionist. I don't even have to call no other names, because you know who you have as the top revolutionist. You know what I mean? You know who you have as the top revolutionist. So whoever you have as the top revolutionist is the first runner-up. I don't care who it is. Let's call some name, man. It could be Fidel Castro. It could be Che, my brethren Che, man. Che Guevara. Give thanks, you know, man. That's how you go stop that. Give thanks. Thanks for the wealth of information, you know, in this the offspring. Simon Bolivar, who is your revolutionary. Whoever, anybody, with all respect and love to all these people, trust me. You know what I mean? Trust me. All love and respect. Whoever. Who's the next revolution? Whoever. Thomas Sankara. Oh, well, you don't know that's my love there. You know, I give thanks. Yeah, but nobody. This is clear. This fella here is saying this is the most extraordinary revolution that we've ever seen in history. You know, through the emperor just move cool and calm, like a cat. Now, when I say cat, not no pussy cat, I'm talking real cats, just cool and calm to the jungle like a jaguar. That is a tiger. 29 states getting their independence in a short time of 10 years. That's what he said?
In the short space of less than 10 years.
Less than 10 years. 29 states receiving their independence. So what that have to do with Haile Selassie? Wait. No, we missing something here, man. Which are these states that got independence? I guess it's Ghana, number one, Togo, Guinea, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, and whoever else. So hold on. Why is the President of the United States of America, the free world, associating Haile Selassie with the independence of these people? What he have to do with that? The father of Africa. Them people just need to cool out. There ain't no figure you can put next to Haile Selassie. We don't even start to go in yet. No figure. And we don't even gone into no divinity, as yet. And this is Mr. Credible himself. Back in the days, it's Jesus and John F. Kennedy on the wall. You know what I mean? My beloved daddy, you know what I mean? My father. In the ancestor realms. You don't know, he visit us all the time. Thanks, my Lord. Because he's in the ancestor realms. Up in me. Yeah, man, have his John F. Kennedy record, album, Speeches of John F. Kennedy. Okay. So we love a John F. Kennedy, brother. You know what I mean? John F. Kennedy is a soul food for us. So, all right, well, listen to what John F. Kennedy said. And what he's saying is the truth, really. And yes, he is a credible source. He is a credible source.
Including over 150 million people.
150 million people. Never seen a revolution like that. Never. Enough respect to Maurice Bishop. Never see a revolution like that.
The conference recently held in His Majesty's capital.
The conference recently held in His Majesty's capital. That's 1963. That's the African Liberation Day. We celebrate African Liberation Day and totally act as if we don't see this. And totally act as if we don't see this. African Liberation Day started when Haile Selassie opened the Organization of African Unity in Ethiopia in 1963, the 25th day of May. Well, the 23rd to the 25th, you know, signed on the 23rd, accepted on the 25th. It's really that whole cycle is like a season. The conference recently held in the capital of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa.
I think that to bring together in a great cooperative movement the people of most of these countries. And the success of that conference was due in no small part to the leadership of our distinguished guest. Therefore, for what he has done in his own country, his efforts to move his country forward and provide a better life for its people.
So what he has done in his own country and his efforts to move his country forward and provide a better life for his own people.
And his efforts throughout the world, which stretch back over 30 or 40 years. For all of this, Your Majesty, we take the greatest pride in welcoming you here. You do us honor, and I can assure you that there is no guest that we will receive in this country that will give a greater sense of lively pride and satisfaction to the American people than your presence here today. Your Majesty, you're most welcome.
And these are key words, you know. These are key words, and let me just say this also is an official. We should have said that at the beginning, because this is an official Shock of the Hour program. It's a video Shock of the Hour program. So all our subscribers will be just like all of the regular Shock of the Hour nightly radio programs. This video program, we have designed this one to be the Shock of the Hour program for this evening. So every subscriber will be gazing on this within their own realms as a Shock of the Hour program. So listen to these words now.
Therefore, for what he has done in his own country, his efforts to move his country forward and provide a better life for its people, and his efforts throughout the world, which stretch back over 30 or 40 years. For all of this, Your Majesty, we take the greatest pride in welcoming you here.
For all of this, Your Majesty, we take the greatest pride in welcoming you here.
You do us honor, and I can assure you that there is no guest that we will receive.
You do us honor. And I can assure you that there's no guest that we will receive.
In this country that will give a greater sense of.
In this country that will give us a greater sense.
Lively pride and satisfaction to the American people in your presence here today. Your Majesty, you're most welcome.
Pride and satisfaction to the American people than your presence here today. Your Majesty, you're most welcome. No, let's get that straight. There is no other guest. How you come to say that? What do you mean no other guest? The fella said there is no other guest that will visit us. He have to be of a frame of mind to be saying that. That will give us a more such paraphrasing now, but pride and satisfaction, bring such pride and satisfaction to the American people. Like your presence here with us. What are you talking about? But Queen Elizabeth visited them after 1963. Pope John Paul II visited them after 1963. What does Kennedy mean? That there will be no other guests, nobody at all, born and unborn. Who gave him authority to say that? He don't know who coming next. No, he don't know who coming next, but he know who is here now. And there is nobody else that can come after him, that can deliver the goods like the niggers of Ethiopia.
Yesterday, riding out in shrewd triumph all that the 20th century could throw at him.
I'm sure some of you are familiar with this documentary, and this is the Lion of Judah. This was done by the BBC network, and it come across to me like a propaganda documentary, as many of these documentaries from that time really are. But the reality is, within the propaganda, you could find the truth. Now, what I want us to do is to listen to what is being said by the narrator of this documentary as it relates to the Lion of Judah, Haile Selassie, because that's the name of the title. As I said, it is, covered with a lot of propaganda too. But the truth is within, and some very serious truths. Let's listen to this.
But Haile Selassie in his time has been far more than just the ruler of a small African state. He's become one of the great survivors of our day and of yesterday, riding out in shrewd triumph all that the 20th century could throw at him.
Now, that's a very important point, He has become one of the great survivors of yesterday, riding out in shrewd triumph. I think he said, take it all that the West could throw at him, but I'm going to go over that. But get what he's saying there. He's one of the great survivors. He's saying one of the now, but at the end, he's going to show that he is the survivor. But one of the great survivors of yesterday, riding out in shrewd, that means using his wisdom. This is what this documentary is all about, with the dash of propaganda that's in it. But I don't want to focus on that part right now. Maybe some other time we check that out. But let's just meditate on the reality of Haile Selassie. That's what we're talking about. The real Haile Selassie. No make believe, nothing what you believe, what you think, which part you think he gone. None of it. We're just dealing with exactly what's in front of our face that you cannot deny. Let's just put it that way. No need to refute. It doesn't make sense. And that alone, this is why I tell people, you don't have to add to the king. You don't have to put on no color him up. Just take him as he is, and he blow everything away. Everything. Look at what John F. Kennedy just said. That alone, we could just done this show now and say, yeah, well, we have it.
Try the great survivors of our day and of yesterday, riding out in shrewd triumph all that the 20th century could throw at him.
All that the 20th century could throw at him.
Today, Haile Selassie is courted by all the world. At his anniversary reception, the representatives of 100 nations came to salute the authority of this tiny old man. He was probably the first African leader to be treated by white men as an equal, and the first to be sacrificed by them in the name of appeasement.
That's a very important point. Yes, the first to be treated like an equal. Well, that's not even the point. And the first to be sacrificed by them. That's a very serious term to use. And the narrator, and I would believe the writers for this script, utilized that phrase or term or whatever several times during this documentary, the fact that the emperor was sacrificed, but yet still he resurrected. This is the language in the poetry of this documentary that is used. Very interesting. Now listen to this here.
Marched, Western statesmen quailed at the thought of a new war.
Lord, wars are horrible, and as dangerous as they are hot.
In the mouth of Ramsay MacDonald, Britain's Prime Minister, the age of appeasement was born. Its first sacrifice in the cause of peace in our time was to be the Emperor Haile Selassie. In Ethiopia, the Emperor could do no more than play for time against the Italian threat.
No. I wonder if you got that. So in the mouth of Britain's Prime Minister, Ramsay MacDonald, as he's saying there, all wars are horrible and something. So what the narrator is saying now, the age of appeasement was born. So let us understand, let us comprehend the geopolitical language here. There was an age of collective security. This was the age when you are a member of the League of Nations. We just check for one another. No one was supposed to attack the League of Nations. No member, of the League of Nations was to attack another member of the League of Nations. It was just protocol. And if you were supposed to do that, the other members of the League of Nations was to sever themselves from you. That's the language, really. And sever means to cut and tear away from and, dismantle yourself from. So this is the case here. Instead of these fellas at the League of Nations say, hey, listen, Italy, Mussolini, what you doing? Huh? You have all these tanks and bombs and planes and ammunition and all of that in Ethiopia with the few musket rifles and the barefoot warriors and sticks and stones, and they did break some bones because they kept the defense up. And history may not explain it to the best, but the Ethiopians were not even fully conquered by the Italians for that 5 years as they would like you to think. And they annexed Ethiopia. No, they annexed a small part of Ethiopia. Haile Selassie explains it clearly in his documentary, in his publication, in his autobiography. The second part, the Life and Progress Part 2. So this fella here is saying now that because we don't really want war, let's deal with appeasement. So they're gonna appease basically Italy and say, okay, so they annex Ethiopia, they say, but it's really just a part and say, listen, have Ethiopia. We can try to work out something with Haile Selassie and all of that. That's really what they were on. So this is why the narrator said that the first sacrifice, you hear the language he used. Because we can turn this into theology, eh? And we're getting there. He said the first sacrifice in this time of appeasement was to be the Emperor Haile Selassie I.
In the mouth of Ramsay MacDonald, Britain's Prime Minister, the age of appeasement was born. Its first sacrifice in the cause of peace in our time was to be the Emperor Haile Selassie. On the 5th of May, Haile Selassie followed them.
The 5th of May.
He left behind the agony of defeat to confront his betrayers at the League of Nations.
And he said he's going to confront his betrayers at the League of Nations. Now, because we have done so much work or so many documentaries we have on these subjects, we have, because sometimes, you know, you don't want to keep going over the same thing. From the Master of Ceremonies, you know, we have the full-length documentary. Now, this is the full-length documentary, the Master of Ceremonies, that goes into the divinity of Haile Selassie I. But on the YouTube channel, we've done many programs. You know, is Haile Selassie a Mason? Is Haile Selassie alive? Haile Selassie the man? Is Haile Selassie the Almighty? Yeah, I did say that one there. Different ones as it relates to the emperor and the divinity thereof, and, you know, who is this King of Glory? That's a good one. If you haven't seen Who is the King of Glory, you should check it, because we're going to reference it right now. So I'm saying, basically, every time we touch the subject, you know, we have to at least make mention of this event on the 30th day of June 1936, when the emperor addressed the League of Nations, when he addressed the body of the 52 representatives of those that are in this governing body of the world. And he spoke unto them in his wrath. This is a very unique situation here. Listen to what the narrator says.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second speaker on the list is His Majesty the Negus Haile Selassie.
He did so with a dignity that has become a legend.
He did so with the dignity that has become a legend.
Monsieur le Président, Monsieur le...
The jeers of fascists in the gallery did not stop him. I am here to claim justice, he said. What reply shall I take back to my people? There was no answer, and there could be none. The League was dead.
The League was dead. That's a very interesting comment that that man made there. The League was dead. This is a BBC British reporter. The League, where is history? Where are the history books that clarify this for us? Who is over history in the world? Why is this not coming out? Why they don't tell us who is the murderer of the League of Nations, who strangled it to death? When he went up to the rostrum, the League was alive in a man. After the emperor done talk, the League was dead. Pardon the passion, really, you know, but they don't know how the thing go.
The League was dead. So, said the emperor, it is us today, it will be you tomorrow. Haile Selassie is a lonely man now. His wife, 2 sons, a daughter are all dead, and though others remain to keep him company now and then, the essential solitude of his life on the tightrope of power must grow more oppressive every year. On one side, there's still the old Ethiopian world of feudal power and tradition. On the other, there's the new challenge of his own reforms, the educated youngsters and the modern army officers who want the world and would like it now. They're the upper and nether millstones which have ground many a good man exceeding small, especially...
Okay, let's stay here. Hold on, sorry, brother, but before we go. So do you understand what is being said here?
Power and tradition. On the other, there's the new challenge of his own Ethiopian must grow more oppressive every year. On one side, there's still the old Ethiopian world of feudal power and tradition.
On one side, there's still the old Ethiopian world of feudal and tradition.
On the other, there's the new challenge of his own reforms.
On the other, there is the new challenge of his own reforms, he said.
The educated youngsters and the modern army officers who
The educated youngsters and the modern army officers who want the world and they want it now, because he's gapping, you know, remember it's 1892. This documentary was done in 1970 something, 1892 to 1970 something. So a lot have changed in Ethiopia, even under the watch of Emperor Haile Selassie first, even from the time he addressed the League of Nations. So we're dealing with the reality of geopolitics and domestic affairs. The young college students and the modern army officers who want the world and they want it now.
new challenge of his own reforms. The educated youngsters and the modern army officers who want the world and would like it now. They're the upper and nether millstones which have ground many a good man exceeding small, especially in this century.
They are the upper and nether millstone that have grind many a great men exceeding small, especially in this century. Do you get that? He's saying that the people, man, that you're ruling over, that on both sides, them is the one that grind you down. And he's saying, them is the upper and nether millstone. It's like in a grinding machine, like you're grinding corn or you're grinding, what do you call the thing? Wheat. You have a millstone that would grind the wheat and grind the corn for you to get the flour. And he's saying that they're the upper and nether millstone that have grind many a great man or men exceedingly to nothing. The same oppression that the emperor is getting according to him, the young army officers and the students and the old guys and the old tradition and the old people that want the old thing back again and the new people that want the new thing and want it now. And hey, we want this, it's taking too long. Hey, you're moving too fast and hey, it's taking too long. Oh man, running man now, let's overthrow the country. They tried already. Them is the scene that grind leaders exceedingly to dust. That's what he say here as it relates to Haile Selassie. Listen to this comment now.
To have survived them for the better part of 55 years in power is something unequaled by any ruler in the world today.
To have survived them for more than 55 years in power. And it's more than that, you know, I tell you, from the age of 12 and 13, the man is governor and it never stopped. So he's 80 plus years, so he's not 55 years in power. It's more than that. But anyway, to have survived them for more than 55 years in power, we know what he's saying as emperor.
To have survived them for the better part of 55 years in power is something unequaled by any ruler in the world today.
Is something unequal by any ruler in the world today. And remember, you know, even before he said that, when he was speaking of how the nether and upper nether millstone ground leaders exceeding small, he said, especially in this century. That's the 19th century that would have been. So when you say, the 20th century. 20th century, we're in the 21st century, so that's the 20th century. So the 20th century, especially in that century there, enough leaders get grind to dust. The better part of 50 years, 55 years is more than half of a century. And this man, Haile Selassie, is deemed, according to the BBC reporter here, unequal. No one can be compared to him. He has survived that, He has survived the upper and nether millstone.
To have survived them for the better part of 55 years in power is something unequaled by any ruler in the world today.
Something unequaled by any ruler in the world today.
No wonder the Lion of Judah has become one of the living legends of our time.
No wonder the Lion of Judah has become one of the living legends in our time. So yeah, don't go anywhere at all. We have a lot more to cover. Just give me a moment there to catch the heavens, man.
In the beginning, Jah the Father sit the throne him alone. Amhara, Amharic, Arabic, Aramaic, and American. Big chak mold pan a reclining throne in a Chaco Canyon, oriented to the conciliation of the lion. Blood the sacrifice in a worship like an Israeli ancient. To obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. So the sons of fish were already under admonition. But them separate and disperse it in a two kingdom. In the time of Rehoboam and Jeroboam, Judah and Benjamin seated in a throne in Jerusalem. Honest and Ephraim in a coastland in a Mount Gerizim. In a contemporary tidings that is not African. In a modern year, think them left with 10 tribes strong. And them find them etymological association. Archaeological bias have it well, long and well down. Chico in a Peru, Iridu and Babylon, Mesopotamian. Whole four nations dominating commerce in the Levant. Meanwhile, Ethiopians at a Macedon as a steady kingdom. In a Sena, China, they were known as the sons of the sun. And a lioness generation, I got a black word song, you know. Hear a vibes, black a song, and make the youth them come round. Call the ground, Rastafari, make the youth come around. Up the gate to stand the ground, and till the youth them draw around. Things would have pushed out our brown, your Rasta eyes is still sound. In a tenement worldwide as well as every uptown. Black a song, and make the youth come around. Confucius and Buddha still have no commandment one. And them Anna written a different form that the days may be long. Tutadan and Skandan was the sons of Dan. In the Asian steppe, Ethiopian Kahanton Khan. Moses elevated upon a staff, the serpent, the Ushtahan. So say allergy and religion in a evolution. And it reach where Yahushua said it would inevitably reach everyone by him sending news out to every Gentile nation. The equality of societal order to every genome. And him tell them the truth come again and sit up on the throne. And the world create him ranks into part unknown. In the beginning, Jah the Father sit the throne him alone. Him say him a the Alpha and Omega in a one word sound. And give rulership for the back and to David crown. He's a sent and descend the emperor Haile Selassie the first was crowned. Jah know, yeah, Jah know. And a lion of generation of black. Word sound ya know. Hear a vibes, black a sound ya make the youth them come round. Call it round, Rastafari make the youth them come round. Obligate this and the young ya till the youth them draw round. Good that blood shot top down, the Rasta eyes is still sound. We not tenement worldwide as well as every uptown. Ya know, ya know.
Just holding a meditation as only the tiger's nest can do it. Jano. And I think this is just a perfect time to just remind you. Well, as I said earlier, this is a shock of the hour. But the shock of the hour is a radio program, an audio program that comes to you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So the shock of the hour itself is also can be given via subscription. When you join the subscription team, you get the shock of the hour radio program every evening after it has been recorded. So as we complete the fullness of even this, the subscribers of the shock of the hour would get this copy. But this is an international program, this specific program that is going out, a special shock of the hour as we celebrate the Earth Strong of Emperor Haile Selassie I. And but as I said, so for you to be a part of that, as I said, you get the program every evening and it comes to you straight in your email. You know, it comes to you straight in your inbox. And you could get a monthly subscription, a 6-month subscription, or even a yearly subscription to the radio program, the Shock of the Hour. And you can just contact us via email. That's Priest Isaac, Priest, ISAAC 27 at gmail.com. That's 27 at gmail.com. PRIST ISAAC 27 at gmail.com, and you can be a part of that. And I think also at this moment, let me also even mention, remember that the homeschool program is still also available, and I must say it in that way because we still up to now get emails and concerns. Ones are asking if they are too late for the homeschool, the international homeschool program. But let me say again, the homeschool program is a package. It is already available there. So in other words, you contact us, you want to order the homeschool program for your child, for your son, for your daughter, whoever it may be. For the little ones, as we say, the homeschool program starts from K. We have 1st grade and 2nd grade. So, but it must start from K. You get the program. It is a 20-minute school program, a classroom setting program. And you get it in your inbox, just like the Shock of the Hour radio program. You get it in your inbox every day, according to the subject of the day. At the moment, our curriculum is geared for astronomy and African heritage / history. So every Monday and Wednesday, you get the astronomy program. Every Tuesday and Thursday, you get the African heritage, African history program, classroom setting, delivered to your inbox, delivered to your email. You just click it on and it's there. You could watch it. You should download it as well because it belongs to you. So it's a series of programs that the child, it's geared for the child. It's geared for the mind of the young ones. Myself and my children, we are the one that comes to the class. Of course, I am the professor of such, and they assist and they're learning, and I'm learning too as we go along. So that program is very good for your children. I could tell you that. That is nothing for me to even go around with. you know, from the children. And, you know, we set it that they would be attracted to the lessons on a daily level and give them their little projects to do as well. And I'm telling you, when if they take in that information, and especially if they watch the video twice, at the end of the day, you are going to have some super-minded children to, I'm telling you, as it relates to astronomy and as it relates to their African heritage and their culture. You know, our curriculum is set. Anyone that's on the program can tell you, our curriculum is set that the African heritage part of it, if you really want to get African heritage in your little child's head, even if it's not of kindergarten age, even if it's you, as a big person, trust me, our African heritage, history and heritage classroom settings will do wonders for the young mind. I'm telling you for sure. The astronomical classes will do wonders for the heavens, and that is just the truth. So yes, you could email us as well, precisive27@gmail.com, and we would send you a very short video, which is on YouTube as well, giving you more detail on exactly how the homeschool program goes. Lasts for a year, eh? A whole year. You're just getting information every day. Nothing too drawn out for the youth. Very short, you know, 20 minutes to 30, the most. You know, once or twice we may go over 30. You know, so it's available anytime you're ready. You're ready now. You contact us now. We could start that program right away. As the homeschool, international homeschool program as well. Very good for the youth, man. I'm not, to be honest, well, you know me, straight up. It's not seller trying to sell it, eh? Yeah, it'll be good if you buy it, that is seller selling it. It is seller selling it, for sure. As an example, a good example as an entrepreneur, I am selling it. But I'm being honest, it's not seller selling it. It's the truth. I know that would do marvels for your youth, straight up. So yeah, give thanks, life giver and the keeper of life. So as I said, this is the shock of the hour program, and we are going to return now into the whole aspect of where we are. Let us return
there to welcome their visitors. And then the march past began. The Malian army.
Okay, I'm here with the World Tour video again, and they're in the Emperor in his World Tour. He's in Mali, the capital, Bamako. And what I want to highlight is the situation with Algeria and Morocco that I spoke of earlier. So I would like to highlight it now. So we're just kind of going to build to it. All right, let's just go through this.
It's a small but well-equipped force, admirably suited to the task of protecting the country. But the thought of war was constantly in the mind, for reports of the fighting on the Morocco-Algerian border were arriving hourly.
Now, as I said, the audio on this is not the best, so I'm going to try to go through it and make sure we get the point. As I said, I don't want nobody falling asleep on I. We're going to take time with this tonight. I mean, it's not as if we does be going hours and hours and hours regularly. In fact, some of you are always saying, yes, my Lord, you should stay on more longer and give us a lot more. And so, I mean, you're getting it now. It's a celebration program. We are celebrating the 128th Earth Strong of Haile Selassie. Even while I was doing this, I was saying within my heavens, maybe I should cut this in half and do half the other time and make you soak in this half. And my spirit said, no, just do it. This is the night for this. This is the celebration program. So who want to cop out early and can't take the marathon, is just up to them. They're those that are going to watch this to the very end. So give thanks for those and let us go through, and that's what it's all about. Holy Emmanuel, Haile Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. So it's showing you now that the Malian people, they have a strong army, but you know, the thought of war on the border of Morocco and Algeria, because remember Mali is just to the south of them, was in the hearts of the people, because them people there at loggerheads ready to fight.
Already His Imperial Majesty had offered his services as mediator.
Already His Imperial Majesty has offered his services as mediator. Remember what Kennedy was saying. Kennedy already showed you in Korea, in the Congo, in Biafra. And this is before he went to Africa. I mean, back to Africa, to Mali specifically. That's Haile Selassie. This is the same video. This is world tour. This is after he left Kennedy, that he has offered now his service. So it's a next set of fighting that the king gone to stop. If we were to take religion out of it, and we were to just deal with the script in its esoteric level and its understanding of common history, who do you think would be the real Prince of Peace? The opposite of peace is war. And these wars ain't no jokey war. Eh? You hear what the man just said? The Malian army is equipped, fighting power, but they're still shivering because the thought of war. War ain't no joke. And when the God can just be stepping in between wars and saying, please cool out, and people say, yes, my Lord, His Majesty, the King has spoken. This is the real Haile Selassie. Don't make believe here. No Cinderella story. No butterfly, fairy tale. Spooky wind blowing through the window. This is as real can get. Yeah. The king has offered his services as mediator. Wow. The next set of fighting.
Bring about the end of bloodshed and get the two parties together around the conference table.
In an effort to bring an end to the bloodshed and bring both parties around the table. Listen, really in the interest of time, because they got a lot I really want to show. So there's certain aspects of this I would skip over, which I mean, I can, and get to the real meat of the matter, because there's so much more that I really want to put on the table.
Talked with the Ethiopian president in France. And then word came. Morocco and Algeria would meet in Bamako.
Okay, as I said, in the interest of time, we just skipped over a lot there. But now, the emperor, after going to several African countries and even reaching as far as to France, former colonial master of Algeria and I think Morocco as well, isn't it? You know? But the point is that now he's returning to Mali because he's going to be working with the president of Mali, and they're supposed to meet and bring the two parties around the table. I just want you to listen good to the narrative. That's really what I wanted to pick up.
In the capital of Mali, which he had left only a short while ago, His Imperial Majesty was greeted by President Modibo Keïta.
And because the audio is not the best, you know, I have to really carry you through.
The two heads of state were to act as mediators during the peace talks. This meeting was to be the climax of the Emperor's search for peace in Africa.
This meeting was to be the climax of the Emperor's search for peace in Africa.
His work had succeeded where others had failed.
His words has succeeded. Is it words or works?
For peace in Africa. His work had succeeded where others...
Sounds like his works has succeeded where others have failed.
Others had failed. Both countries were to meet under his chairmanship, and an agreement and ceasefire was signed.
Both countries were to meet under his chairmanship, and an agreement of ceasefire was to be signed.
It called for an immediate cessation of hostilities and propaganda.
A call for an immediate cessation in military aggression and propaganda.
and provided for a demilitarized zone patrolled by Ethiopian and Malian troops.
And provided for a demilitarization zone patrolled by Ethiopian and Malian troops. Just gotta get it clear.
Later, a conference of all the foreign ministers of Africa was to be held in Addis Ababa to find a permanent solution to the problem.
Later, listen to this. Hear this. Later, all the foreign ministers of Africa were to have a meeting at Addis Ababa. As Kennedy said, you know, the man has created a community of free independent states in Africa. That is how Africa was run at this, or being run at this time, as a community of free independent states, like tribes in a sense. You have your own banner, your own flag. And the man that was responsible, Kennedy says so, for getting all of these countries independent. Also, he didn't just get them independent and left them. He formed a unity with them to make sure that we were all one. Who is the Prince of Peace? That's the passion. It done. Yeah.
Events have already told the full story. The Emperor's achievement was complete.
Events have already told the full story. The Emperor's achievements have now been complete.
Events have already told the full story. The Emperor's achievement was complete.
The Emperor's achievement was complete.
No longer did Africans fight Africans.
Huh? No longer did Africans fight Africans. Huh? Is this real or this is a dream? There was a time in history, no longer did Africans fight Africans.
And all the continent rejoiced with him and thanked him for his efforts in finding a solution to the problem that had once seemed insoluble.
And all of the continent thanked him for finding a solution to the problem that once seemed insoluble. Is it insoluble or insoluble? But I don't know. But the point is that nobody could get the thing done but the God of gods, the King of kings, Negus and Nagas, step in.
It was a great personal triumph for His Imperial Majesty. Africa, under his leadership, had set an example. It had shown the rest of the world the way to settle disputes between nations.
Hear what the man say. Africa under his leadership. This is a different documentary than Africa under his leadership had shown an example to the world. They had shown the world how to stop fighting amongst each other. Let me get the exact words.
To the problem that had once seemed insoluble. It was a great personal triumph for His Imperial Majesty. Africa, under his leadership, had set an example. It had shown the rest of the world the way to settle disputes between nations.
It has shown the rest of the world the way to settle disputes amongst nations. This is the real Haile Selassie. Even us as Rastafari, this more important than the belief. This more important than the debate. Because there's no debate here. There's no opposition here. This is a one-party government, if you want to call it that. No opposition exists here. There's nothing to oppose here. And to me, this is good enough for me to hail the king. And I have to sprinkle no fairy dust on it. give thanks. Life giver and the keeper of life, Rastafari.
Of course, for us, you know, we think he's like God, you know, and he himself did not give us that coin, by the way. It's Abana, his treasurer, who goes out and hands that coin, by the way, you know, and he himself did not give us that coin, by the way, you know. Of course, for us, you know, we think he's like God. Of course, for us, you know, we think he's like God. Of course, for us, you know, we think he's like God.
I was walking with my sister in the Victoria Park, and I looked up. There was a man coming towards me, which I found very striking. He was immaculately dressed, but he was quite small, but very, very powerful. Great sense of energy coming off him. And he walked up to us and spoke to us, and with great charm. He had a very gentle, quiet voice, very quiet. He patted me on the head, and I can remember to this day the sense of being in the presence of someone who was more than a man.
Sense of being in the presence of someone that is more than a man. So what is more than a man? I've heard ones say that a man is an underdeveloped God.
His eyes were very powerful, very dark, but very truthful. There's a sense of truth, honesty, perfection.
Perfection.
And this is a memory that stuck with me all these years. And I'm pleased to admit him.
The general populace worshipped. The general populace worshipped. The general populace worshipped. The general populace worshipped.
And now to present our eminent guest, delegates and observers, ladies and gentlemen, the honorary chairman of our Congress, Dr. Billy Graham.
Dr. Billy Graham.
Your Imperial Majesty, Bishop Debelius, delegates, observers, friends, ladies and gentlemen. When we were deciding about the program of this conference, there was one item that I was asked a little bit about, and that was what chief of state we might invite to come and greet us in the name of Christ. And we thought of several, but the one that kept coming back to our thoughts and our minds was that great country of Ethiopia, the land of the Queen of Sheba, referred to in the Old Testament as Punt, and we remembered the story in the book of Acts about the Ethiopian nobleman that was converted to Christ, baptized, and went back to Ethiopia with the gospel. And since that day, Christian kings and emperors have ruled in that enchanting and beautiful country. 35 years ago, there came to the throne Emperor Haile Selassie I. He established a written constitution. He established a parliament, a modern system of communication, built roads, hospitals, schools, and universities. And then the whole world became aware of him when, during the heroic days of the war, His Majesty is the protector of the state's Ethiopian Orthodox Church and is head of the church. And when he returned to his country on May the 5th, 1941, on that historic day, he announced to the world that in Ethiopia, Christian ethics in government, liberty of conscience, and democratic institutions would prevail in his country. The Emperor of Ethiopia is a man that goes regularly to church and is a worshiper of Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. When I had the privilege of being in Ethiopia for a campaign in Addis Ababa, when I spoke, all schools were closed, and the imperial family came and attended the services. And so we give a warm and hearty welcome in the name of Jesus Christ to our distinguished guest this morning, His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia.
Meeting the Lion of Judah, Haile Selassie. It was a bleak autumn morning in London. I had just gotten out of my routine meditation when all of a sudden some friends of my host visited. They were very excited and told us that His Majesty, the Emperor of Ethiopia, had heard of my experiential yoga teaching and had expressed a desire to see me, a yogi from India. Haile Selassie, thrice great, from the house of Shiva, was also called the conquering Lion of Judah, the same title held by King David in the Bible. Selassie was 225th in descent from the line of King Solomon. Soon we were driving along in my disciples' Austin, Cambridge. Our guides, who had established contacts with the House of Ethiopia, were very happy to be party to this great meeting. I was told to keep this meeting a secret because His Majesty was a guest of the royal family of England, and for all practical purposes, to the African and Rastafarian religious communities, he was thought to have left his bodily abode in 1975. However, this was untrue, as I recall meeting with him 7 years later in 1982. Our guides took us to the residence on Great Portland Street. We stopped the car and entered a mansion-like home. There were two robust and ruddy men, all smiles, sitting at the reception. Scotland Yard detectives, I presumed. My guess was right, as they simply told us who they were when we introduced ourselves. He was obviously given the highest security of the land, since the king was a guest of the now late Queen Mary. The gentleman led us up a broad red-carpeted stairway to a simple but tastefully decorated parlor with soft green furniture and carpet. The green room of the palace, I said to myself. I was used to all this green and pink rooms, which were there at our own house in India.
As we give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life. So what you just heard there was the words of Yogi Raj. And prior to that, Yogi Raj from the Wings of Life. And even prior to that, you also heard from Billy Graham. And I know many ones would be a bit caught up with, you know, the Jesus exchange and all of that. I would hope not, at least for the level of where the conversation is right now. Because I think that's a conversation all by itself. It can fit in here, but we would not attempt to fit that in here at the moment. But at least those who already can scope and have a certain level of understanding. What we are highlighting here again is another aspect. Mr. Billy Graham said that he could not think of nobody else in the world that he could call to open his conference in the name of Christ. And no matter how hard he was, you know, he thought, this country of Ethiopia just keep coming back to his mind. So obviously he dismissed it several times. Man, them is serious vibes, Rastafari. And it's not like, you know, any old rinky-dink kind of, well, it's a rinky-dink too, you know, but it's the highest of the echelons in their vibes. President Kennedy, rinky-dink too, but the highest of the echelons in their vibes. Then brother Yogi Raj, oh man, he turned the thing up now. He's saying in 1982. Huh? He's saying in 1982 he meet the king, not as no refugee running from the body, you know. Cool and calm on the Scotland Yard. Detectives. Now you see, if you understand geopolitics and certain levels of science, you know, I don't want even to go into the depths. There are people that tell you Saddam Hussein still alive, Hitler still alive, who the other one? Bin Laden. And you can go into it and on and on and on because, you know. But the point is, a lot of what you see in the movies is just reality. And you see, as Rastafari, when it comes to Haile Selassie, even now we're celebrating 128th anniversary. The reality is that they have people on the planet that older than that. They have people on the planet that older than that. And we dealing with the Negus himself, Negus and Abbas, Haile Selassie, the power and the might of the Holy Trinity. So as I said, the reality aspect of it is different than just the belief and the fairy tale. So in the heavens declare the glory. We highlight the mystics and the connection with Haile Selassie, Asar, just as we highlight in the Master of Ceremonies. Because this is reality now. Because we as a real African people, our concept is an esoteric concept, a celestial concept, if you may. And we go into the whole depths of the connection. As I said, all stories belong to Anansi. So the Asar mystery, the mystery of Osiris, the mystery of Asar, we highlight that in the full-length documentary. That is our first full-length documentary, by the way, known as The Master of Ceremonies, the Divinity of Emperor Haile Selassie I. Within that documentary, we highlight the direct connection with Haile Selassie and the Asar, Haile Selassie and the Osiris character, the same Osiris that was sacrificed and resurrected. We listen to the BBC documentary where the man used these exact terms of the emperor being the first sacrifice. So if he was sacrificed, how is it he still come back and rule Ethiopia for how many years after? Because he was resurrected. You could see as if the BBC narrator have a good understanding of who Haile Selassie really is in the real realms, whether you understand he dealing with the Most High or not. In this realms, you see, man, as he said, there is no other leader that is equal to the emperor of Ethiopia as far as him standing against all obstacles. From the beginning of the video, he was telling you he has dodged or rode out in true triumph all that the 20th century had to throw at him. The man stopping all wars, Korea, the Congo, Biafra, Algeria, Morocco, the peacemaker, showing the world, the example to the world of how to stop friction amongst nations. Not me saying so, eh? The elite talking. The elite in journalism are speaking there. So me talking now, the alignment of Osiris is similar to that of the literal life of Haile Selassie. From the 12 to the 13 years, becoming a man, just as the Christ in the scripture, just as this Asar mystery, the Horus story, being a man at the age of 12 and 13, Horus the lion, Horus the lamb, the same very thing. And of course, the coronation of Osiris, the 70 and 2 that came to Osiris banquet, which is the 72 nations that came to the coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie I, is the very same thing. They cut Osiris up into 16 pieces. We show that directly even in this very book here, where we highlight the mystery of Osiris here. You know, this is very deep. Look at it here, and this is the deepest of science. Let me just show you here. The enraged Set cut Osiris's body up into various pieces with differing numbers according to the text. You know, that one or two trying to shove me. Oh, the unlearned. I gotta call them that. The unlearned. The unlearned. Some people don't take the time and study. People listen to documentaries and go and talk as if they're the professor now. That's why I always tell ones, go and do your own research. Because we say that Osiris, according to the text, and the science of it was cut into 16 pieces. And remember, it was the 72 that came to his coronation that cut him up into 16 pieces. The story would tell you Set as well. But the point is the 16 represents Article 16 that the League of Nations, you know, turned their back on. So look at here. It says here clearly, 14, half of the lunar month, 16, the ideal height of the rise in the water level in cubits. So depending on the science you're using, he was cut into 14 pieces. Depending on the science you're using, he was cut into 16 pieces. It's a science. It's definitely not literal. It's a science, but it became literal, historically speaking, in Emperor Haile Selassie I. You understand? That's how the metaphor does it. You know, it comes to an historical vibration. So we make the connection here with the Asar, with the Osiris, with the Orion, with Emperor Haile Selassie I. You know, because again, as African people, we believe in our ancestors. We know our ancestors return in other formation, in a different structure. So it's nothing spooky, it's just reality. So I'm not gonna duck it out, you understand? And that is even the dynamics as it relates to Emperor Haile Selassie I. So we highlight this in this manuscript. This is our earliest, not our latest, our earliest ebook. This is our ebook. This is our newest ebook, my family. Let me just show you properly in case you don't know. This is our newest ebook. This is The Heavens Declare the Glory. The Heavens Declare the Glory, Rastafari and the Cosmos. And let me just say, since I mentioned it, we still have this special, you know, where you can get The Heavens Declare the Glory, and you can get the true biblical land of Israel. Of course, you know what the true biblical land of Israel is all about. You don't know? It's about the true biblical land of Israel. The land of Israel being of Africa to Africa and Arabia, according to the scripture. And you know, you may be surprised, but when you understand that science, it makes a lot of things fall into place or stand into place as it relates to the concepts that we even bring out to you. You understand? Because your Jerusalem changed, your Bethlehem changed, a lot of the story just changed because we have a better comprehension. So yes, you do get the true biblical land of Israel. You get the book, The Heavens Declare the Glory, and you also get the book Anu, Ancient and Modern. You get these three books. Let me just say that the three of them Each book really goes for a value of 20 United States currency dollars, but you will get the 3 books for a price of $50. That's on a special for the moment. And at the same time, you also get a free monthly subscription. So when you order The Heavens Declare the Glory and Anu, plus the True Biblical Land of Israel, and Anu is Anu Ancient and Modern Revisited. Yes, these 3 books for the price of only 50. That's the each book again is 20, but we give it at 50. When you do that, you also get a whole month. I don't know if you understand the value of that, and you get a full month subscription of the shock of the hour, you know, just because you order those 3 books, you know. Also, the books, you could also get them on Amazon for those who love to go into the Amazon jungle. All you have to do is to check the book. Amazon doesn't have the deal we're giving you. I'm just telling you that, to be straight, you know, and it's done in Kindle fashion. That's Amazon fashion. Our fashion is slightly different, but it's up to you. You could contact us and get it straight from the tiger's nest, straight from the tiger's hand, straight into your inbox, straight into your you know, into your library. Or you could go to the Amazon. It's up to you. It's there. Some people love Amazon. You don't have it on Amazon? I can send it for you right now. Oh, I like to shop on Amazon. Okay, all right, check it on Amazon. So you could get the Kindle version, the ebook, that is the Kindle ebook version. You can get it on Amazon. That is the Heavens Declare the Glory. It's definitely a great read. I mean, you should definitely get it. And you could also get the True Biblical Land of Israel and the book Anu Ancient and Modern Revisited. They are all on the Amazon. You're not gonna get no free monthly subscription of the Shock of the Hour from Amazon, but it's up to you. I don't have no problem with it at all. If I did, I wouldn't have the books on Amazon, would I? All right, so don't worry about that. That'll be wonderful. And remember also that you could make the payments via the PayPal. Once again, via the PayPal, you could make the payments using the very same email, priestisaac27@gmail.com, and that is definitely up with you. So we do give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie I, as we continue to celebrate and we continue to hold, you know, such joy as it relates to the King of Kings. I am sure, you know, that you have full joy, such a reasoning with understanding, and I know that you would have somewhat to say about that we spoke of even this evening. And as I said, it's the real man we're talking about. This ain't no spooky business, no make-believe, nothing, no makeup and I think so, or this is my opinion. It's just the facts. Ain't nothing really that we set down, you know. Only maybe the last set of things I said about 16 and Osiris, and maybe there you may find room to bring up a debate, but I must admit that is debatable really in your realms, depending on how you think of it. But I know it's a fact, really. But for sure, history that we see in front of us cannot lie. We're dealing with the Prince of Peace, the peacemaker, him that came and stopped wars amongst the fighting factions, Emperor Haile Selassie I. You know, as we say, the master of ceremonies, and this is why we call him such, because he holds down all angles. Listen, I will encourage you to go back to our YouTube channel and revisit some of the key videos. For example, is Haile Selassie a Mason? I think you should watch that again. Believe me. Who is this King of Glory? You should check that out as well. These two specific documentaries on the YouTube, the both of them, and we have those available too, but we have just put them on the YouTube, but it's up to you. But these documentaries, because these were lectures, these are video lectures. They give this, what you are watching tonight, they carry it to another level when you plug those to it. Who is this King of Glory? Oh, And is Haile Selassie a Mason? So you should check it out. I know some people don't like hear that. It's a question. It's a question. And you're a Ras. When people ask you that question, can you answer it? Some people tell you no, eh? No. Okay. I mean, I would like to say no too. I could say no too, but it's the realms. But when a man going to tell you, but you say no, but he's a member of, and then he call an organization which the king is a member of, and them organization is Freemasonic organization. How you get around that? Well, you know what I mean, the King of Kings, not into nothing Satan. The man asks if he's a Mason. You gone with Satanic, is he a Mason? I was watching the thing the other day, and the brother Sarnetta Studios channels, and give thanks for, you know, them information that come out from time to time. His brother had well, the brother said he was a Bobo Shanti, and he was a Mason. He says he's the first member of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress that's a Mason. I said, what is this? I'm sure some of you saw it. You know, an interview with Sarnetta and a Bobo Shanti. I'm not saying he's not. No disrespect to him at all. Eh? No disrespect. I want to be clear here. I'm not playing around with the brother. I don't even know the brother. You know what I mean? In fact, the little interview I saw, the spirit of the brother seems quite upful. So, I mean, you can't judge somebody from a 19-minute interview, but I say nothing at all. No disrespect. You know what I mean? I know people that I disagree with. I don't disrespect them. It's love. But on that whole thing about him being a Mason of the Prince Hall Mason, which is accepted by the Scottish, the Scottish Lodge and the United Kingdom Lodge or something or the other. I mean, that's some serious thing, eh? My good brother, I'm telling you, if it's masonry you love, if it's the craft you love, believe me, if you really love the craft, let me tell you, you need to watch his Haile Selassie Mason. If you really love the craft and you are a Bobo Shanti, just live the Bobo Shanti order to the fullest, and you don't need to go and join no Mason. Trust me. And with that, I will leave that there for now. I don't think I want to say nothing else than that. Give thanks to the life giver, keeper of life. And it is the shock of the hour. So if you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. Celebrating the 128th Earth Strong anniversary of the Negus of Ethiopia. Celebrating the 128th anniversary of the Earth Day, the birth strong of the King of Kings, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Yeah, man, we definitely give thanks for such a royal God, such a mighty, terrible, ancient monarch. And yes, the titles that we give, that we speak, these are titles given to him. As I said, the Lion of Judah. It is the titles that were bestowed upon the King of Kings, Negus and Nagas. So we give thanks for Negus and Nagas. Give thanks for his saving power. Yeah, man. Give thanks for the saving grace. Yeah, man. The black Christ in the flesh. Selassie first.